Hello, and a very big welcome to the Women Leading Show. My name is Jo Baldwin-Trott. I'm the editor and publisher of the book, The Women Leading, More Now. And I'm very thrilled to be here today with my two co-hosts who are always with me. Well, actually, one of the last shows, unfortunately, couldn't make, but generally always with me. My partners in crime and leading is Jo Sumner and Kim Adele Platts. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
And our guest today, who I'm really looking forward to hearing more from, just the remarkable, I'm just calling her Wonder Woman, Batwoman, and Spider Woman all rolled into one. She's remarkable. It's Asma Begum, the founder of Soul Sisters Empowering People. Hi, Asma.
Hi, Jo. Hi, Kim. Hi, Jo. Jo as well. Good morning.
So we've got JBT and Jo S. But actually, Jo, you just ended up being Jo, didn't you? And I'm JBT. There you go. That'll do. Okay, so lovely to see you. Thank you for joining us, Asma. We are very excited to have you on the show. We are about to have an amazing event on the 23rd of March at 6 p.m. It's our first forum, and it's called Ascending Leadership. And it's all about how leadership is changing in our new world. So please look into that. Eventbrite has tickets, so pop onto Eventbrite and you'll find us there. We'll obviously put the link in as well. But today's show is very much focused on a topic that's very much dear to our hearts. And I know actually, and I won't divulge anything more, but I know all four of us here, we could apply this title to ourselves. But it's about going through sadness and struggle, and then using that to help us develop a successful life. And I mean successful from the inside out as well, so internally successful as well as externally. So let's come on to Asma. Asma, Soul Sisters Empowering People. One of the very first things I was struck by when we met at an event at 50/50 Parliament was your just general compassion, because obviously when you have gone through a journey that you have done, a lot of women can get very focused on just helping women. And it really jumped out, a bit like our book, really. I didn't want our book just to be about women. But tell us about your charity, and obviously I'll come on. I'd love to hear about you during that process as well. Share away.
Thank you for having me on here, Jo. Ladies, thank you. So I'm the founder of Soul Sisters Empowering People, and it's a charity that provides support and advocacy to survivors and victims and their families and children of domestic abuse, to move on to an independent life where they're thriving, free from fear, and it's where we signpost them to services like Women's Aid, Refuge. So at the moment it's been just over a year that they started, and we do things like group works with the ladies. Obviously over the pandemic we've been doing it over Zoom, so it's for women, men and children, but at the minute it's been mostly women, and I've been holding Zoom sessions, peer support groups, where the women have been doing self-care sessions, meditation sessions, journaling things, and then I've had some different guests on that have been talking about mindfulness, about homeopathy, and just general. We've been having a book club as well, and then we've started the peer support group. So what that means is that they all got the same lived experiences, and one of the reasons I started it was so that it's a safe space for them to share their experience. Sorry, you might hear my little boy in the background. But one of the reasons,
we're good, it's fine.
That's good. Is so that they have that safe space to open up, to listen to other women's stories and realize that they're not alone in this, and it gives them that strength to realize, and gives them some hope as well, that actually I'm not alone in this, and hopefully they can stop blaming themselves as well, and realize that it's not them, it's the perpetrators, and then try to hopefully start working on themselves, building their confidence back up, their self-esteem, because that's so important. And the other things I've been doing when the lockdown eased was go out on social distance walks with them and doing mindfulness. So I'm doing meditation course, and I really believe being in the present moment with these ladies. So it's for them to be a more self-managing their situation, self-help. So it's giving that power back to them, empowering them, giving them that control back, basically. Because when they're, you might hear a lot, actually, because I'm from up north, and I realize this because I do a lot of raising awareness on social media. And I've noticed recently, I keep doing this, one of the videos, I was like, oh no, so yeah, I do apologize. So yeah, because obviously the perpetrators, it's all about coercive control, having that power over the victim. They don't have any choice. And I'm a survivor myself, and I know that I didn't have a choice in what I wore, what I ate, just what time I woke up, how I brought my little boy up. So to give them that power back to make a decision. So we talk about options that they've got. I have women that come to me who are saying that I'm in this situation, this is what's happening, I'm not going to leave. So we're really careful about how we speak to them. We don't tell them you've got to leave, because that's even more dangerous. That's something that I am constantly repeating, because in my situation, my friend said to me, who was the only friend that got in touch with me before I fled, and she said to me, I'm going to come and get you. I'm going to come and get you. I'm going to get a van, and I'm going to come, and we're going to just get everything out of the house and go. At the time, she didn't know this, and I didn't know this, but it's the most dangerous time to do that to a victim, because if the perpetrator, it's known, the statistics, homicide reviews, where the perpetrator will attempt to kill either the victim or the children when they want to leave. It's the most dangerous time. So I don't tell the victims to leave, but I help them manage their situation. If they're in that situation and they're not ready to leave, I share my story. Also, I'll tell them how to like coping strategies. So like, you can't manage your perpetrator's behavior, and you can't control how they speak to you, but what I say to them is, you can control how you are, what you say, how you behave. So those are the things that I help them with. So recently I've just completed training as well as a DV champion, DV practitioner. So it's all very well having that lived experience, but it's very important, especially it's a charity, that I need to make sure I've got that professional knowledge as well. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. I love learning anyway. So Soul Sisters, so advocacy, support, peer support groups. At the moment, it's for educating and raising awareness. Yeah. And getting involved in research and campaigning. Sorry.
Yeah, I just love your approach, because recognizing how much there is going on with domestic violence, and it's not as simple. And I, from my own past job as a police officer, obviously, it's so often that people would be told to leave, and like you say, that's absolutely the most dangerous time, and it has to be really considered and careful. And if you've got somebody's violent, they can't just escape, because they will be found. It's not that simple, and because I had personal experience, I just think it's recognizing, and it's a phenomenally difficult situation to understand unless you've actually been there, because
absolutely,
if you can walk physically out the door, people will assume that, well, you can just leave, and it just isn't that simple, especially if you have children.
It's not. It's a myth. It's such a myth. People just say, why didn't you just leave? One of the questions I had, someone asking me, it was a friend, and she just said, well, you were working, and I was earning a lot more than him, so he allowed me to work because I was bringing that money in, and he controlled that. And I didn't even know it was domestic abuse. I didn't. And there's domestic abuse isn't just physical abuse. And a lot of the women that we're helping now, they immediately will tell me things that are going on. They'll say, oh, we've had a fight, he's verbally called me something. That's not domestic abuse. And I'm like, that is, because that's mental, psychological. Then there's financial control, there's sexual abuse, there's also economic, there's lots of things that come under domestic abuse. So the mental abuse is the most scariest, because it happens over time and you can't see it. And the physical, I didn't see it as a physical. I just saw it that I made him angry. So when people say to these victims, "Oh, you could have just left. Why didn't you just?" It's not that easy, because the perpetrator, the way they work on that victim, they are very precise. They know exactly what they're doing and how to do it. They research the victim. They work out what the victim's like. The love bombing thing that they do is when they find out everything about you, and then they use that to trap you and isolate you and keep you away from.
And also friends and family, and that's what happened to me, that they went to my friends and family. So I was not only isolated within my own little, so-so family, but I was isolated by my own family. And what can you do about that? It's so hard, but that wasn't really a question. I know that's a massive answer to that. But, the whole, what is abuse, it's not a particularly easy subject to raise, but actually it does need raising. And I remember being told, that I should be careful about using the word abuse, and he's not an abuser, Joe. He's not that sort, because that was his best friend's wife that told me that. And at the time, I remember thinking, perhaps she's right. And then, thankfully, quickly, I really just worked out, no, actually, that is definitely. It may not sound like abuse to you, but I feel like it's abuse, and that's really important, isn't it? Endorsing how you feel, because sadly, people will say. And I know you had this, and I'd love you to come on to your story, Asma. But you were told by certain members of your family that it wasn't, and it was okay. You just stick it out, right?
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. So what I was told is that relationships go through ups and downs, and that it's up to the woman to keep the relationship together. She's got to be patient, and she's got to put all the hard work into it. It's her that keeps it together, and coming from my background, which is I'm Muslim Bangladeshi. I am British born, and I've not really been in a relationship before, so that's another thing. So for me, when I just go off what people tell me. So if my parents are telling me that's what it is, so when I got married, I just assumed we're just going through some bumps, and I kept thinking. So the things that he didn't like are my in-laws. So it wasn't just my ex-husband, but it was his whole family. And the things that they didn't like anything about me really, but I would try to change those things. And then when I would change that, it would be like a long list that I would be improving. Then they would find something else to tell me to improve on. And I would keep thinking, oh, well, maybe if I keep doing what they want, how they want me to become. Basically, they were like, treating me like a doll, and I thought one day I'll be happy in my marriage, and this is just normal apparently. And I remember there was one particular incident. I didn't really tell my parents everything because my dad is a heart patient, and my mom, I think she would just fall ill too. So I didn't tell them the extent, but they could see that things like when my mom would ring me, I wouldn't answer the call, and if I did answer it, she would know because I'd be quiet. And I didn't even know at the time why I was doing it. I know now, but I would be scared to answer that call to my mum. And when I answer, then when I would answer it, if he is there by mistake, my mum would know that he's there just because of the way I am on the phone, like really. So she would be like, "Oh, is he there?" She goes, "Right, okay, then I'll ring you. Let me know when he's out." And these are little signs, but they just thought it was just a little hiccup in the road, and maybe because they've not got enough money, and financially they're not secure because he wasn't on a very good salary. So they just kept telling me that it's okay, just stick it out. And then his family would tell me things like, he's depressed, you've got you just need to be a good wife to him and behave like a good wife, and be able to cook properly. So before we got married, one of the things, I didn't know how to cook. I didn't. My mom and dad did. My dad's a chef, so if my mom wasn't cooking, then my dad was cooking. So I never needed to cook at home. I could do things like bees on toast and things, but I used to do everything else. But this is something that we openly told them about, that I can't cook, and my mom told them, I told them. But as soon as we got married, it was a big thing. They started picking on that, like nitpicking on it, and then they would ring my ex-husband up and say to him, his family, "Is she cooking? What has she cooked today for you?" And then if I didn't answer, they would tell him that I've not answered the phone. So then he'd have a massive argument with me, and things would go not very good. And then they would ring me and ask me what have I cooked and what I should cook and how I should cook it, and how I'm a dutiful wife if I dress a certain way. And then they would ask me questions about, am I speaking to my friends, and that I shouldn't be speaking to my friends. From the day I got married, they started to want my loyalty to them and not my own family. So they kept telling me things like, oh, your mum and dad, they didn't treat us very nicely on the wedding day. So they came to the wedding venue, like 2 hours late. The whole family, the groom and the whole family, they were 2 hours late. My dad was ringing everyone. My uncle was ringing. I'm sure you know about South Asian weddings. They're very vibrant, colourful, and massive, big. And I'm like the eldest of four siblings, so it's a big deal for my dad to get me married. And in the community, he invited. I only knew like 10 people out of, I think there were 600 people, and so it's a big deal. And I was in this room in my outfit, and I had an egg because we tend to do our vows first and then we eat. So I had no idea what was going on, and if I had, I would have said something else to my dad, that forget it, I'm not getting married. But I didn't know any of this was going on. I only found out after my vows. But when they came, they attended the hall, and my dad wasn't very happy, and they said, right, we're gonna walk away. We're not gonna get married. We're not gonna get our brother married to her. We're gonna walk away. You're not even treating us nicely. You're not welcoming us nicely. They wanted to be treated like a royalty. So so my uncle went and apologized, literally say, because it's embarrassing for the girl, not the boy. If they walk away, he can get married again. It's not going to be a stigma for him or shame. But they know when they said that, my dad's going to react and beg them, because it's going to be shame for me because I'm the girl, leaving a girl without marrying her on a wedding day. Anyway, they walked in and the wedding happened, and then I found out all this happened, and I was like, well, why didn't someone tell me? Because if I'd known that's happened and they've said that, I would have said I'm not marrying him anyway. Because actually a week before, I actually did cancel the wedding, because I say this to a lot of the ladies now. I had this gut feeling. So between the engagement and the wedding, there was a lot of things that was going on, which is the isolation part. Things like, where are you? Who are you with? What are you wearing? Send me a picture. Give me your passwords. He wanted all my passwords. And I didn't know what that was. I thought it's just this guy being really caring. And so a week before, so things were happening, and I had this feeling in my stomach, and I had it for a while, and I decided this is not working. Why am I having this feeling in my stomach? And honestly, I tell all the victims and survivors, when you have that feeling, really listen to it, because there's a reason why I got feeling that thing in your head when you're confused, that feeling in your heart and your gut, really listen to it, because if it's not right, are gonna feel like that. And I cancelled it a week before, but because he started pressuring my mum, he started ringing my mum. My mum and dad put pressure on me then, because they'd already paid for this hall, which is thousands of pounds, and the invitations were out, and so because of the pressure, I then did get married to him. And I said, so that's why I said, if I had known on the wedding day that's happened, I don't care. I would have said, Dad, let them go. Do you know what I mean? But they didn't tell me, they didn't ask me. And I remember we were going back to his brother's house to Birmingham, and my dad rang me while we were in the car, and I was absolutely distraught. And Dad said to me, look, you've married them now, so just forget what's happened and just treat them nicely and behave with them, and be polite. Forget about how they treated us. Because my dad said that to me, it was really hard to do it, but I had to. And then lots of things happened. So he was controlling me, what time I was going to work, what time I'm getting the train back, am I home, what am I eating, things like, oh, your friends are a bit strange, that friend, he said my auntie was checking him out. And all this is these are all signs of isolation, alienation. There was sexual abuse. I didn't know that it was sexual abuse. It's only when I was at the refuge, after I fled, and I had written my statement, because I applied for 2 court orders, prohibited steps order and a non-molestation order. And that's when the key worker in the refuge said, so you've been sexually abused? And I was like, no. And she explained it to me. And I was like, okay, so that's what that is. Because culturally, we're told whatever your husband wants, you should give it to him. I was told that on my wedding night by his family. Religiously, that's not acceptable. religiously, Islamically, and any religion does not condone abuse. It said that if you see someone being abused, you should use your mouth to go and stop that and say, help the victim, or you should use your hands to go and stop that and save the victim. But if you just know something's happening and you just wish in your heart, oh, I hope they be okay, that's actually worse. And then it's also said in our religion as well, like perpetrators, we shouldn't just judge them, as in to say that try to help the perpetrator as well, offer support if they want to change. Not all perpetrators will want to change, but a lot of them will. So it's taken me a journey to say this now. When I was the victim, I don't think I would be thinking about the perpetrator, but it's a journey that I've gone on, and that's what I want to help the victims and survivors go on that journey. The more you talk, you start healing and you start learning to forgive. Not forgive them for what they've done, but to forgive that situation, forgive myself. And actually, that situation has made me thank the universe, because I've grown within myself, developed myself, and I think I've got the best thing I've got out of it is my little boy. But I went through financial abuse, I went through gaslighting, I went through a lot of the abuse for 6 years, and to the spiritual abuse as well. So just before I attempted to flee a few times, and he would find me. He threatened me that he would do something to my son, to my mum and dad. He knew how dear they were. So this is what I mean. To tell someone to leave is you've got to be very careful, because these are the threats that the perpetrator is telling the victim. That's why the victims don't leave, because they get scared. They think that, and I know now he could have done it, but I know now I could have got help. Like the landlord, when I got in touch with the landlord when I was in the refuge, the landlord was like, "Why didn't you tell me this before? I would have helped you." I said, "Yeah, but he never let me talk to you." The landlord was a man, so he would never let me see the man. So
and
6
also
years.
I think the element of fear, and like I say, it's very hard to understand that level of fear unless you've experienced it yourself. And also when you're talking, you do help men and women, but I really feel that women, because and the physical, because you could have a male relationship, but it's the physical element is really relevant. I really feel that, and I think when you've got that added fear, you've got the fear of control, but also the fear of physical violence. It just puts a whole nother level onto your fear. But Asma, I just want to bring you back to, obviously, and what I'd like to then do is ask Kim and Joe, because you and I have spoken at length. We're going to be speaking actually live on an Instagram call next Tuesday at 1 as well, because you've just launched your amazing new website, soulsisters.org.uk. So please have a look at that for anyone's watching and listening. But what you've done, you've mentioned your son being the gift of your experience. What you're doing now for all these other women, you put a post on Instagram the other week just with a picture of this nursery, completely empty, not with children in it. But you'd actually created a space for a woman to see her son, and she hadn't been allowed to see him. It's making me quite emotional now thinking about it. For 6 months, because of the abusive perpetrator who took the son away with him. And it was the very first time she'd seen her son in 6 months, and he was a tiny little dog. I'm just going to leave it at that. But that is what you do now. Kim and Joe, I'd like to open up to you and just say, I'm sure you're blown away by this remarkable woman who is just openly sharing all that you do and helping so many just to hopefully support them through. I'll just open up to you guys and let you sort of ask your questions.
Yeah, Asma, what a journey, and what an amazing thing you're doing for other people. And I think you can't fail to be inspired by all that you're doing, and your son's going to be so proud of you and the impact that you're having. And I think for me, the bits that really resonate was we can't always determine what's going on in somebody else's head, and when people do this to you, they chip away at that self-esteem, they chip away at that belief. They have you believing that you're wrong. Actually, you're making it up, or you're being unreasonable. And people don't get to tell you if you're scared. You get to decide if actually the behaviour is scary. And I think that came out so strong from what you're doing. But if you could give if you could give anybody who's listening in and feeling this fear any advice, what would it be? What would be the thing that they could do now to help themselves from recover from this?
I would say have someone that you can connect with, whether it's a trusted friend, trusted family member, so soul sister or a soul brother, someone that they can share that with, because offloading that onto someone, if it's not just, you know, a peer support group, it will help. Maybe the person can't, and the person that's listening, you might not be able to help or give a solution, but do you know what? Just by saying, I believe you, and listening and just repeating back to what they've said, they will feel valued. I'll tell you something about me with Jo. In June, when I met her at the 50-50 session, it was over Zoom. So when we say we met, it was over Zoom. And Jo, I put something up in the chat box about Soul Sisters and what I do, and the way she, you know, she's on such a higher position with all these things that she does, you know, for her to message me and say, I want to connect with you, you know, I'm really interested, it really meant a lot. And then she gave me time and she listened, and just with everything that she's done, she just really matches Soul Sisters values, aims, ethos. And it meant a lot to me to be listened to and valued. So I know that victims will just value the fact that you give them that time, that space. They don't always want you to give them a solution. The other thing could be is that, you know, either have a notebook or write in your phone calendar, which is what I did. And at the time, I didn't even know why I was doing it, but I was doing it just to get it out of my head. And actually, it worked in my favor then when I went to court, because it was dates and times with things in there, and he couldn't do that because, you know. So if it's safe, then have a notebook and write. You don't have to write paragraphs. You can write date, time, and just what happened. That's absolutely fine. But the other thing that Jo mentioned, we had our live, was about recording. So I don't know if you want to say that, Jo, because, you know, that was something that you do.
Yeah, well, just when, you know, when I went to court, I produced my phone, and I actually recorded on as audio files on just the voice recorder, and also sometimes on camera. So the view of the video camera was bonkers because it was in my pocket. So, but it just suddenly occurred to me, I need to record the energy of this, because it is very hard, you know, to stand up in court to talk about what's happened. But when you can actually say, well, I didn't need to play it. That was the beauty of it. I didn't need to play it because he then recognised that was there as evidence, and his solicitor didn't ask for it to be played. But the value of having that, so you could easily just put your phone on and hit record on camera and just record whatever's going on, because the voices are undeniable. There's no argument for that. And people, the minute they can hear what is going on, and I did play it to my solicitor, and they're like, well, there's nothing to be said about this case anymore. And it's just stuff like that, really. Yeah. So Jo, is there anything you'd like to? Because I just saw the time. It's been such an amazing call today, and thank you so much, Asma, for sharing so openly.
You're welcome.
Well, I'll be very brief, but just to really acknowledge the courage and strength it takes to speak so openly, and how much of a gift you're giving people, Asma, by doing that. And you know, so much of what you said resonated. I actually grew up in a fundamentalist Christian, I can't even really call it a religion, but I was told basically all the same things that you were. And so I really recognize what it takes to begin to look at what you've been told and to say, hold on, what here is true? What do I believe? What feels right to me? That's what's important, what feels right to me. So I just want to really commend you for speaking up and for giving other people a voice by doing that, because that's what you're doing. You're giving a lot of people who can't yet speak a loud, clear voice. And thank you for sharing with us today.
You're very welcome. Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. And Asma is one of the authors in the next Women Leading book. So Women Leading in Our New World is a book that at the moment I'm just taking authors from. We've still got some spaces if you're interested. But Asma will be writing a chapter, and the book will be supporting Asma's charity as well, which is really exciting because it's remarkable what you've achieved in a year. I mean, goodness me, you literally have hit the ground running. It's been incredible. And now you've got your website. I'll say it again, soulsisters.org.uk. You've got a brilliant Instagram account as well with great posts. So inspiring. How can people help, Asma, that are listening and watching now?
They can volunteer or refer. That's a very good question. I'm trying to think without
Do you need money?
I'm not going to pretend. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I feel weird, saying that, like donations and things, but I need to get used to it, don't I? Because it's for the women. So yeah, and also please share the social medias, the website, and if you're a survivor or a victim and you want to share your story, you can come on and share it confidentially. Or if I'm thinking of starting a podcast. Well, podcast will be coming as well for Soul Sisters. I want to thank Joe as well for. I've literally got goosebumps. I've been welling up all week with happiness because of the things that have been coming. The universe has been giving me back because with this book and what Joe said, and I personally, I'll be honest, I don't think I can speak good English. It's just something I don't know what's happened to me. But yeah, because I do have a degree and I come from a corporate background, but I think because of the abuse, my brain, something's happened and like I do doubt myself. But to have support from women like Joe and even my trustees, now I've got a good set of trustees and that was another challenge. So it's not been smooth with Soul Sisters, but yeah, I just want to say thanks to Joe for the opportunity to support Soul Sisters with your book. It's a big deal, and thank you for just having me on here and actually listening. And I hope that even if we can help one person, that's the thing, it's a domino effect, and there is hope. There is hope. When I left, I didn't have a job, I didn't have any money, and now I'm in a safe accommodation. I am hiding, but in a safe accommodation for 3 years, very happy with my little boy. And actually, as a single parent, my son is thriving, and I'm sure Joe can agree with that as well. So there is hope at the end of the tunnel.
There is, and there's amazing organisations like Soul Sisters. You have achieved to have trustees and this board already, Asma. It's remarkable. What you've achieved in a year is incredible. Let's have you back on the show a year's time, because honestly, it's like, let's book you in now because you're going to be doing even more.
And then we've got Joe as the patron as well.
Yeah, so I am the patron, which I guess I should have mentioned at the beginning, really, I suppose, but that was not even a question when you asked me to be a patron. I mean, to be honest, part of me thought was, oh my gosh, isn't that what people like Judi Dench do? Don't you be better off asking her?
No, you're the best.
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, ask her too, because I'm sure she'd want to do it as well.
Yeah.
But it's just such a beautiful message. I love you so much, and I really appreciate what you're doing for women that were like me. And I love the fact that Joe, you just mentioned that obviously there's so many people could possibly think that there is very much a relevance of culture, of religion, but however, it's just not the case. And you could be anywhere right now, and sadly, right now, and as will be when this goes live, there are so many women, especially, but men and women suffering domestic abuse more than ever. So Soul Sisters is needed more than ever. And bless you, so are you, Asma Begum. Thank you so much. Big hug coming down the Zoom lines to you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Love you all.
You too. Reach out to Asma at soulsisters.org.uk. Kim and Joe, thank you so much for coming along today. Again, you're amazing as my co-host. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a delight. Asma, thanks again for being so honest and so vulnerable, and sharing that to help other people know that you can have a safe space. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care, everyone, and you'll hear again from us soon. Bye for now. Bye.